Wonderful. A huge thank you to everyone who is joining tonight. And I know that a few more people will jump on in the next few minutes. And a big welcome to everyone who watches the the recording a little bit later. I know many of the girls are very much looking forward to it. But I would love to introduce our special guest speaker tonight. It's my beautiful friend, one of the most inspirational women I've had the pleasure of working with and meeting and going overseas with and dancing with on and seeing at so many awards nights, conferences and seminars. And that is the beautiful Mimi Carbone from South Australia, from Adelaide. Mimi, thank you so much for joining us tonight and accepting my invitation. And I would love to just share, I've asked Mimi, as I did for Lucia not too long ago, earlier this year, to just share a little bit about what she loves most about Nutrimetics and a couple of highlights as well. So Mimi just loves the freedom of being her own boss and the freedom of being in control of when she decides that she is going to work as much as she wants to go away when she wants to be there for her children when she wants to. And like my sons, they're not young children anymore, but they still need us, or they have children that our children's children need us.
That's
So
right.
that freedom, and I know personally that both Lucia and myself, that was the one word that we used when we have done this presentation over the last few months. We love freedom, and I don't know whether it's our free spirit or our what it is, but it means a lot to us. And the second thing that Mimi mentioned to me was the feeling of being appreciated and rewarded. And I do remember the beautiful lady who started Nutrimetics back in 1968, Imelda Roach. She would say that she hasn't experienced too often receiving around applause for the clean floor that she had from any of the children, friends, mothers, husbands that came home. But when you do an amazing job with Nutrimetics, you do get rewarded and applauded. And it's lovely to have that feeling that you are making a worthwhile contribution to society and have that recognised. Now, some of the highlights for Mimi, and she says her top three highlights would probably be her very first seminar that she earned with Nutrimetics, and that was to the wonderful island of Kauai. It was an extraordinary few days. We did feel like the rich and the famous.
Yeah.
And Mimi, you may feel a little like me. I don't really want to be all of that famous all of the time, but it is lovely to go along to a conference and mix with these movie stars and models and be in the same lift. I remember one of the lifts, Michael Bublé was in that lift, or all these
That
famous
was in
people.
South Africa.
It was, and it makes me appreciate so much just coming home and how wonderful that this country is that we live in. But Kauai was very special for her. She also received an inspirational award and Queen of Seminar in the same year. And Chairman's Summit. Wow, what a few years you've had, Mimi. So many highlights. Um, and I know that you just love people. You love helping, supporting others. You love teaching others. You love encouraging other people to be the very best version of themselves. And Mimi, I believe you are the very best version of yourself with the extraordinary life that you lead and the empire that you've built, that's given your children such an amazing start. And I always remember the story you told last year, and it was about how it really opened up your children's eyes when you took them overseas. Now, you didn't expect one of them to move there permanently. However,
My
you,
fault.
you did give them that opportunity. So Mimi, tonight is about reaching out to all of the amazing people that are on live or watch this recording to let them know the possibilities and to give them some skills and techniques and messages that you have learnt over your years. And I couldn't remember how many years you've been in with Nutrimetics, but if you could mention that as well. So big welcome to you, Mimi, and thank you
Thank you,
so
Louise.
much. And I will make you co-host now. So let's click on your picture, which is here. It looks like you're coming up as the co-host anyway. So I'll just, there it is, record. I will find it. Don't you? Host
Okay. Maybe do
tools.
you want me to start?
I do, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Louise, because every time, whenever you get asked to speak, you go back and it's like you go back to 38 years. I can't believe I've been 38 years in Nutrimatic. Life just goes so quickly when you're having fun. And you just go back and think, what happened in these 38 years? How do I get where I am here today? So I'm going to share that with you because some of you have heard my story before, some of you might not. And when I joined like 38 years ago, my kids were obviously young, 8 and 11, I think, at that time. I went to a Nutrimetics party, and until then, I hadn't heard it about Nutrimetic. I wasn't really familiar with direct selling. Like, it's not something that I ever come across before. This party that my sister-in-law had. And when I went to this party, the lady that was conducting the presentation, her name was Leah. She would have been in her mid-50s. So, and she just started, started probably about a year before. And she was just saying how she just come back from a trip to India. And I thought, wow. She works this business part time. She's a social worker. She's a grandmother, and someone has given her a trip overseas. I'm a very curious person. That's my personality. Like if someone does something that I think extraordinary, I just want to know how they did it. And my whole, like when I read a book, it's about an autobiography or it's something like that because I'm very curious. My personality is very curious. And because many years before I had the children, I used to work in a pharmacy. And then from pharmacy, I worked for a couple of years in the department store. So my friends said, "Oh, and you should do something like that. You love cosmetic. You love it." At that time, I had been out of cosmetic. My husband and I were running coffee shop. So a very busy mom with two kids. My kids played sports all the time. I was working full time in the business. So it was no, I didn't think I could do some, I would have the time to do that. But thank God, and this is sort of planted the seed for me afterwards when I thought, thank God for the lady that was at the party because she didn't give up when I said, no, look, I'm too busy. She said, look, you don't have to join. Just come and have a look, see what you think. If it's not for you, I'll respect that. So she rang me about, I gave an excuse of about 3 weeks. And then at the end, but in my back of my mind, I had that curiosity. How did that girl get that trip? So anyway, I went along and of course I joined. And when I went home, my husband said to me, well, I thought you would, but where are you going to find the time to do that? And I must say, sometimes when you join and you embark on a journey that's a little bit different to your friends or your family or your husband and even your closest people, can be a little bit not applauding you for doing something different. So you got to have this, what I saw was something that um, not that I had the confidence that I thought I'll get to great heights in Nutrimatic, but I just thought maybe let's give it a go and just give this a go and I'll see if I can earn a little bit of more money on the side. Even though the trip was really what I wanted, but I was prepared to be in Nutrimatic for 10 years before I got a trip because I never got a trip with any other. jobs before. I mean, I worked in cosmetic and my target went up every year, but my wages were the same. So I thought I'll give this a go. And anyway, I remember once that I said to Rocky, this is not just about me, this is about us. And even with my children, because they said, Mum, why are you going party all the time? Why can't we come to the party? Because they thought it was just a normal party. So as what I did do, I set them down and I said, when Mum gets to this level, we had the the plan. And when our Mum gets to this place here. I'll take you anywhere in the world you want to go. And they said, oh my God, even Disneyland? I said, yeah, whatever, but even Disneyland. Anyway, if I started my career and I used to be out probably 2, 3 nights a week, plus my training night, which never ever failed unless I was away or I was sick. And if I was home, the question, why am I home? Are we still going to that trip in Disneyland? So it's really good to have something like that. Even if you have a husband that might not see it like you because you thought we got so much on our plate. Well, we're building our house at the same time. But the thing is, like Louise said, for me, I started doing and I was very strategic because I didn't have a lot of time. I still worked full time when I started Nutrimatic, and I did not give. I went part time with Rocky once I became a manager, which it took me a year, and that's when we went to the island of Kauai. Well, that opened up my husband's vision to what this could be all about. Louise, I don't know if it was the bikini competition, but we had we were in this resort with all, we had Cher, we had her husband there, the Lord Bridges, we had so many actors there. And you can imagine me, I've never had a trip with any company that I worked with. I'm a year with Nutrimatic and I'm exposed to this luxury. I thought I was, honestly, I think I had my mouth open the whole 10 days I was there because we came down this escalator and it just brings me tears to think what I felt, that experience that I felt on that seminar. And I see this beautiful, huge lagoon, and in the middle of this lagoon, it had this amazing statue, like a horse, a marble horse. It was just amazing. So anyway, yeah, my husband came along because for years he kept on saying to me, because we had a retail business, it's not easy to have freedom. Business is not a retail business is not freedom, let me tell you. I was freaking out that if Rocky gets sick, I don't know who's going to run this business and myself. So it wasn't, and I suppose that's why freedom is so important to me because we never had it then. And for years, for 12 years, our holidays was just down to Victor Harbor, which is only about 2 hours away. And he never closed the shop, so we couldn't go anywhere. And so I thought, well, if I own this trip with him or without him, I'm going. So anyway, I'm saying to everyone in the shop, oh, I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to Hawaii. And then he turned around and said to me, I thought that partners or husbands they get to come along. I said, but how can you come? Who's going to look after the shop? And he said to me, oh, don't worry about it. I can organize. And I felt like punching this man. For years, I haven't been anywhere because he couldn't leave the shop. Anyway, so I'm glad he came though, because on the way back, I mean, he was in awe because, being in business, you always think that there's a particular person, a particular way, a particular personality to be in business. But when he came along and we saw every different people from different backgrounds, from different heights, different sides. And these people, even in the 80s, there was one that I still brings to mind. I don't know if she's still alive. Definitely, I don't know if she's still alive. Anyway, she was probably back then, she would have been already about 70. But she had the biggest aquamarine ring I ever saw in the bathroom. Anyway, this is me. I'm in awe and looking at these people that going on stage. And this lady was with a walking stick. She goes on stage and she picks up $1 million achiever. Well, that I thought, oh my goodness. But while we're in the bathroom, she had a ring like my aquamarine. She put it there and fell in the basin. I thought, oh my God. She goes, don't worry, honey. It's too big to go down the drain. So, coming back, even though I had done what I thought it was the most I could do, I've come back with a different vision and a different strategy. And Rocky did say to me on the way back, go part-time in the shop and maybe do a little bit more nutrimetics. So I thought, oh, well, that was great because, I think when you're working on a journey in business is you need to have the support. And maybe it was my fault in the beginning because I knew he wasn't that happy. I never shared too much with him. But I think if you're in that situation, I think it's great that you share your journey with your children, like I did with my kids and your husband, because it makes life a lot easier. So, of course, coming back and have part time in the shop and do more nutrimatic. Well, you know what? I don't think I did too much for the first 3 months because I said, oh, God, oh, well, I can do it tomorrow. When you got limited time, and I was very strategic because I only had that time. Pick up the kids from school, bring them home, do their homework, get dinner ready. Off I went to a party. So then I had the time. And I think, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And then I realized haven't done any more than I did when I was working full time. So obviously the habit had to change. And so eventually I did that. I'll go into that in a little bit. But you know what I think, like Louise was saying, yes, my son lives in New York because I found out this years later that what inspired him, he was working for an American company in Sydney. And what inspired that he wanted to go to New York is because when I took him there, and he was 15 years old, he said in his mind, one day I want to work here. And it's interesting because I think we are the mirror of our the children mirror on what we do, and we are, we are whatever they see, that's what they know. And so 15 years later, he ended up moving to New York, which. But I'm pleased to say, and the kids, it's not just your journey, but it's your family journey as well. Because my son came probably about 10, 12 years ago. He decided to leave his very well paid job in New York and start his own business. And one day he rang me and he said, Mum, I don't know why Papa, which is dad in Italian, and he's not happy me leaving my job. You and him, haven't worked for anyone for years, maybe before you got married. So he's a bit nervous me leaving my job. And I said, Remo, for us it was easier because we weren't earning what you were earning. But I said, I'll give you my blessing because you can always come back and do what you're doing today. But I think go for what your heart and your mind is telling you. And I'm pleased to say, and I'm very, 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 very proud of this amazing boy that he's got a startup business, which now a hedge company in New York just invested $25 million in his business. So he runs that business. So, what he saw in us is basically it's what inspired him to want to have his own business. So, this is how we start. And anyway, the freedom for me, what is freedom to you? What is freedom to some people might be different to me. To me, I think when I was working even for a job, I always thought I'm worth more than that. But I was still getting paid, regardless what my target. And now I was being a person that achieved. whatever target was set my way. But the difference between Nutrimetric, if you set a target, you benefit because you get paid what you're aiming and what you're growing. But when you're working for a boss, you can be 110% effort into it, but it's not going to give you that. But the other thing that I wanted something that I had more time with my family. Freedom to me meant having more time to do the things that I want to do. But obviously, at the same time, you got to, when you're running a business, you got to be disciplined that you put that time aside for your business as well. So for me, it was even have freedom of choices that you don't have to wait for, Anthony Albanese to give you 4.7% increase on your wages for basic wages. You can increase your own wages based on what effort you want to put in. And I think at that time, the freedom for me to be home with the children, the school holidays, it was brilliant. Then, of course, the kids, like Louise was saying, they moved away and that. And then I had my mum that was in a nursing home. So it gave me the freedom. And I know, Lucia, you are in the same because I see those beautiful photos of your mum. She's so precious and beautiful what she does. It gave me the opportunity to be there for lunch with her and that. So, and then of course, then the grandchildren come along and you babysit the grandchildren. But it gave me the freedom of little did I know that my son he was going to go and live in New York. So, and I always been one to love traveling as well. And we travel through because through the experience of me building this business. And Rocky actually came to the conference, and Luis would remember that. And a lot of the boys maybe they went out drinking and shot, but he would sit there next to me, and that gave me the confidence to start something different, something new that he had no idea, and start something new in becoming, jewelry. So he's been in the jewelry trade now for over 32 years. And I'm sure that it was through the instigation, through a sitting, through those conferences and listening to those people that, the coaches and even just people like Louise and Diana and the senior people that were so willing to share, which for me was something that I hadn't experienced before. Because when I was working in a job, people don't tell you how they do. Even in our counters, people don't share what they do. Everyone is on their own. And I found that it was just, and that's what gave me the passion. I think this is where I want to be. I want to be with these people because you become the people, you've heard that before, the people that you surround yourself with. And I'm not saying you're going to love your friends that are around you that have been there for years, but I don't know, it's just different communication. It's a different discussion when you are with us. And I love being with people that, one of our school friends, he had this dream to become a billionaire, and he has. He's got boats in Sydney now. He's got a shopping centre. And, I love his company, not because I just love to talk to people how they did it. Now, he's a very humble person. We went to school together. So what makes him different to any of us? Maybe my dream wasn't big enough. So that's, if I had to say something, let's dream big because it's the dream, the journey that takes you there. Because when you think of something, it manifests. It manifests. So you got to think, you got to plant that seed. Think of your brain as a garden. It's like a flower. You plant the seeds and then you see that flower blossoming. So that's to me, it's why I wanted the journey and to be able to do all the things that I have done. And if I was working for someone, there's no way I could have 7, 8 weeks a year in travel. Like I used to go with Rocky on the cruise ships, before COVID. Then of course they stopped. But this doesn't stop us there now to do what we do now, which we do go to New York or we go to Spain and meet up with my son, have time with the grandchildren. There's no way I would have still been able to keep a job. And not only now, in COVID time, my kids stayed with us, lived with us, the ones from New York for a whole year. But it takes me into that we need to change sometimes the way we were running the business 38 years ago, it's totally different now. And it's such a different world that, it's about, it's really thinking that what we do today, it will be different tomorrow because everything changes so quickly. And we can't control some of we can't control some of the things that happen in the world. Like we can't control the people talk about, oh, that's because of the war. And we can't control that. There's situation that we can't control. And many years ago, it happened to us as well. A personal story that we had we had a coffee shop. We had it for 3 years. We had sold it for over $100,000. Now we're going back in 82, 83. My kids were probably 3 and 4, whatever, very young. And we had this coffee shop in a Westfield shopping center. Anyway, back then it was called Mice, but now it's a Westfield. We had sold our shop 96,500. I still remember the sum. Now, back in 82, you would buy 3 houses in Adelaide. I mean, fully paid 3 houses. Well, guess what? We went to get a new lease because we were selling the shop, and Westfield said, no, we're not going to renew your lease. So how do you like that? Now, that's a situation. It wasn't our fault. Rocky ran a fantastic business. We grew the business. Someone else was in control of that situation, like it is today with a lot of things. Now, we could have sort of just said, that's it, no business. We're not doing business again. We've lost all this money. Let's go and get a job. No, and this is with anything, whether you sell lipstick or whether we sell makeup or whether you sell nails. When it comes to business, we need that resilience. We need that, and you got to make sure. What worked for me too, I was in here for the long run. I wasn't here when something happened, that someone canceled my appointment, or someone did the girl that said she's going to conquer the world and company car and travel, and then the next week she didn't come back. She hadn't even started, and she said, I need to have a break. A break. Oh, she said, I had my office already, but I don't think for now I'm so busy and that's it. And I said, well, let's talk about it. No, 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 I've really got too much on my plate, whatever, whatever. Now, I know this girl hasn't done anything big, but you know what? Sometimes you got to let them go. So, this situation that we can't change. So what I learned from that is, if somebody canceled my party and I was ready to go with my bags, guess what? I got on that phone and I thought, I'm here, I'm home for a reason tonight, because I am meant to ring other people that will value my time. And those those phone calls, because I made up my mind, this is going to work. This is going to be productive evening tonight, because I chose to. And guess what? It's amazing. In some of those parties, I sponsor the best people and still in my business today. So don't allow a situation to take control of your beautiful energy, because think about who would give you that. Now, Louise said about my inspiration award. I think the inspiration award on that year, I got it for sponsoring and developing the most people, I think, at that time. But that reward was amazing for me, because, and it's a reward that I treasure. I got a Swarovski vase, which is nice, and I'm sure we all got things at home there. But you know what was special about that reward? Every month, I got sent a bunch of flowers to put in that vase. Oh my God, I tell you what, every month that those flowers came, for 12 months, I just felt, oh my God, I felt so appreciated and so valued. And I think, oh my God, I'm so pleased that I am where I am. So, those things is what strengthens your discipline, your resistance, your confidence. Because you gotta, it builds your confidence that every month the Nutrimetric send me those flowers without a fail. Okay. So, did I have fear when I came in? Oh my God. Even public speaking, you probably remember me in my early days. I really didn't want to do that public speaking. But you know what? I threw myself, it's like you throw yourself in the lion cage. I needed to do it. I need to do it because it's fear is what they say, look it in the face and do it anyway. Because it's the experience, it's the what you get out of that. It's even if you suffer, doesn't matter. Don't, being a perfectionist, it's actually a liability. Don't try to be perfect because if you're trying to be perfect, you waste so much time. And I can tell you from experience when we went in, when COVID hit and we started doing Zooms and videos, I think I said to Rocky one day, I need 20 minutes. 2.5 hours later, I was still take one, take two, take three. And the kids were banging on that door. And I said, okay, that's it. From now on, I'm just going to say it the way it is and do it the way it is. And it's about the message I'm going to give out. So don't be a perfectionist because it doesn't work. And people want you to be like them. If you make a mistake or you say something different, doesn't matter. You know what? Of course it hurts then. And then next time you're going to do it better because it does. So, be be the architect of your life, of your journey, because, when you get to my age as well, you don't want, I know that I've still got a long time to go, but as you get old, you think, I'm glad I did this. I don't want any regrets, because the worst thing is, so I hadn't done Nutrimatic and I just worked in a job. And then I look back and think I could have done that. And this is why I gave my son the advice. Do what your heart and your head is telling you now, because you can always go back there, but you never can go back if you don't experience it now. And he was 35 at that time. I think was the same age as I was when I joined Nutrimatic. So, it's like I said, you got to experience that business is not every day the same. Like I said, we lost money, we made money. But I think if I had to weigh it out, I'd rather be where I am than have to work in a job from 9 to 5 and get the same income and not have a life, because especially when you've got children and you're working full time and then you're going to go home, pick up the kids from daycare and then go home and do dinner but oh my God, I just take my head off. I don't know how people do it, but I think you've got an opportunity. When you have an opportunity, just take it. So, okay. Now, the other thing is we got to eat habits. I had to change some of my habits as well and I found it challenging. I'm telling you, that phone, it was like a brick. Every time I had to think about getting that on that phone, it weighed like a brick. Anyway, so I had to work a way that because I knew I had to get on the phone. So, it's like other jobs. You're working somewhere, you like to do some things, but not the others. I like to do my treatment. I like to do the facial. I like to talk to people. I like to go to training. But when it came to the phone, or even asking someone for a facial, I used to hyperventilate just asking. Because don't forget, my working days, people came to me. Now it's the other way around. I had to go to them. So if you are work in an office and things like that, of course, it's a total different thing. But I came to a conclusion and I thought I need to have a better plan. So do you know when it comes to habit, there's 3 steps to a habit. If you want to change a habit, there's 3 steps. So there's the step where the cue, which means is, let's say your exercise. Okay, I'm going to give you a simple exercise. Now, if you're going to go and exercise, and you wake up, say 7 o'clock in the morning, and you're tired, and you think, oh, I don't know, I don't think I'll go. And then you get up, you can't find your shoes, you can't find this, you go for a run, come back, you think, oh my God, now I'm late. The kid's got to have breakfast. Then I've got to take him to school. And you get to work and you're flustered. I should have done the email. that really kills your whole energy about exercise. But look at this way, and this is what I had to do because I'm not one to jump for joy, but I've been doing Pilates for 23, 25 years now, twice a week. So what I needed to do, I needed to know to do it because I had a reason. I had bone density issues, so that's one big reason. So the one reason, the cue was, if I don't go to Pilates, I have to take medication, and the medication is going to give me side effects, and I've got to take it for the rest of my life. The other thing was that if I don't go to Pilates because it's a boutique gym, I have to call him the day before. If I don't, then someone else is going to miss out because there's only five reformers. That's what I was doing. The other thing is, I was going to meet up with a friend there. So I had three things that I had. There's three steps to changing a habit. So someone to make you accountable because I had to show up. The other thing was I had to let the person know that I was coming. And the other thing, what is the benefits? But then there's, of course, you're doing the routine, and there has to be a reward. Look at this way, it's got to be a reward. So the reward for me was once I do this exercise and I do that, don't go home and I have that beautiful homemade almond milk with my homemade granola and yogurt. So I really love my breakfast. So was that, or it could be for you being able to take a long hot shower. So look at it as if you put that in context about changing a habit when you find that that phone is very heavy, think about doing it the night before. It's work out who you're going to call the next day, right? The other thing that you want to do is that you put the outcome you're looking for, right, in the habit, and then is be maybe say accountable with someone that you know you want to work with, or maybe your upline. Guess what? Tomorrow I'm going to block 2 hours of my time. I'm going to concentrate on sponsoring. I'll ring you up and let you know what the outcome was. Okay. So that could be the thing. Then I have to reward myself. So I could have a drink or I could watch my Netflix. So this is the things that I used to do. So when I used to do my phone calls, when I said to you, if I was going to get on the phone and I find it like that, I already knew in my mind that if I do that hour phone calls and I'm going to book 3 extra party, then I can sit there and not feel guilty. Because I don't know about you, but I used to feel guilty. I still feel guilty. I don't know why. Because for me, you know how people are driven? I'm driven by fear. You know what my fear was? If I don't get those bookings in my diary at the end of the month, I'm going to really be suffering. I'm going to be so disappointed that I didn't achieve my 4,000. I didn't achieve my monthly figures for my seminar. And I always used to overqualify I remember, I used to do a flip in 2, 3 months. We used to qualify over 9 months, I think back then. I can't remember, but I used to try and qualify um, within that 3, 4 months. So then it would be dusted and done. So I'd rather do it. Some people leave it to the end. I was the other one because I was so paranoid that I wasn't going to get there and I wanted to get there. So the fear drives me. I used to, it still does today. I'm still looking at that too. So, how many hours do Louise said, how many hours? Look, I love my Nutrimetric and I don't feel it's work, but if I was to put in work mode, whatever, I would say 25, 30 hours, maybe not even, no, I think 25 hours. And, I've had, obviously, the 2 months that I'm away, the company car, the trips, and my income is probably, around $90,000. So, I'm pretty, I think, where I am, and to be able to babysit my children, to be able to travel all those um, those 7, 8 weeks and spend it with my family without feeling guilty. Because if you're going to be away, you need to prepare yourself before you go away. So, which it takes me to, we're in the last 7 months of the year. Let's not wait until November and say, I want to have a good November, good December. We've got to start now. So I would encourage you to look at what you're doing daily, because what you're doing daily is what progresses and what you see happening ongoing. Your daily habits will dictate where you're going to be in the next month, in the month after, and the month after. So if you look at your figure, if you've been in the business, say a year, some of you might be new. And if you're new, that's okay. Just see what you did last month and improve on last month. So, because you know what, our business really, when you really think about it, it's pretty simple. Because if you want to increase your business, just instead of talking to 10 people, speak to 20. Okay? Out of that 20, you're going to get a lot better ratio because you're going to get more sponsoring, more development, and then more people. So don't be scared. Don't, like I said, it's you got to look at the figures, your sales growth for, if you're a manager, you would have your sales growth formula, and that dictates what percent, how many consultant place an order every month, because it could be a third of your consultant that place orders every month. What amount do they place every month, right? So if you know that stat, all you need to do is just double or triple. So you've got to have month. Don't say in December I want to do that. Just look at your month per month, because if you can create that, you find that you will. It gets exciting and you get inspired because you can see the growth. Now, sometimes the business has changed a lot since COVID, because where we used to be, we used to book events and we were comfortable that people would turn up. I remember the Meridian just before COVID actually, and we used to have 80 people, were so many 80 people in a room there. But obviously things have changed and we got to go with the flow. Like I said, we can't change the situation, but we can change the way we do things, right? The habit. So, you know, when we used to, now it's interesting because, we've sort of held back in South Australia a little bit in really putting ourselves out there and create events and things like that. But isn't it interesting? When we put our Mind tour, we had, and Nikki came down and she did a fabulous job. I know she's doing it around. And we had over 60 people attending. And we didn't think we were going to get that. But isn't it interesting when you commit to something, how your mind seems to, you come across the right people. They say yes to you, right? And of course, now we're doing a makeup one this month as well. But sometimes it's the fear of thinking, is anyone going to turn up? And I've got to tell you this little story. I was thinking, this lady in Buffalo, this was a volunteer. She went to work in a art gallery, right? No, museum. Anyway, any museum many years ago, all they used to do is sell cards. Didn't have a shop like they have now. Anyway, so she was there as a volunteer and she decided and Buffalo was a very sort of humble, they weren't brought up to go to a museum. So she thought, what can I do to get people to come to the museum? So she thought of an idea. She said, what I'm going to do, everybody's got old things like antiques in their homes. And I'm going to ask them, everyone this is before the Antique Roadshow that you would probably see on TV happen. So she decided she's going to ask people to take whatever they had, and they were going to value how much their item cost. Anyway, the day before she was to do this, and back then you didn't advertise on Facebook and things like that, she started panicking. She thought, oh my God, what about if nobody turns up? I'm going to feel like a failure. What about if nobody this? And she was talking to her son and she goes, and her son said, but Mum, that's not like you. You normally, she goes, yeah, but I know, son, I don't know if anybody's going to turn up. On another breath, she said, but you know what? If nobody turns up, nobody would know, then nobody turned up. So I thought that's a good story. So sometimes we hold back in doing something because we think, what about if one Oh, well, nobody turns up. Well, I'm going to hold on to that story and I'm going to make sure that we're not going to hold back on events. So if we have been a bit, I don't know, holding back on really getting out there in front of people, please take this story because I took it from someone else. And this guy, actually, you probably all listened to her. I love Mel Robbins. You probably all listened to her. And my walk in the morning, I know that sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't listen to music, but I listen to her podcast, and you can always learn something from there as well. So planning ahead, with for our, whatever you need to do, like this lady did something different to see what it worked. And I know that face to face is our relationship with clients, it strengthens that when you're face to face. And some people, they just love to be part of that, just to see that product, to see you. And of course, I mean, social media still got its place. I mean, I still do things on my page because obviously it takes a lot more people. But think everything you do, it takes you closer to that goal that you're going to have that nice paycheck in October, November, and December. But we need to start now. It's like when we go to seminar, we can't start the last month and say, this is where we're gonna, I want to go to seminar. You just go to seminar. And just one thing I forgot to say on habits. Do you know it's actually a fact, it's a research and science. Then, and this is very interesting what I heard, that when you exercise, let's say you go for a walk, you actually tend to eat healthier. And you go to lunch, and instead of buying your sandwich, you buy a salad because you get to go in, your brain does something, and it doesn't, it's like you're looking at that, no, I don't think I'm going to have that. And the other thing, look, I don't know if it's true or not because I don't take my credit card with me when I go to Pilates, but they say you spend less. So maybe try that. Maybe because you start to look and value yourself more, and you think to yourself, do I really need an extra pair of shoes? Well, I probably do. When I go to New York, I will. But then you know what? Then I feel good that you know what I do when I come home? I'll give away one pair. So I feel okay. So giving, it gives you the pleasure more than receiving. Isn't that what they say? And that's so. Okay, so let me see what else. And it's like I said, it do I think it's great to manifest what you want, but doing a vision board. And everything in the past that I have done, that I looked and saying, I'm going to attempt this. And Luis will remember, and Lucia will remember our Peugeot, our amazing incentive we had. And where my business was at that time, it looked, I don't know, I don't think I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know, too much of a stretch. And she's going away, and this is going there, and the other one is not very positive at the moment. Sometimes we get lost in what we have around us at that time. But that can change just by us changing our mindset. So by changing my mindset, when I said to myself, you know what? At the end of the day, if I embark on this journey, if I embark on doing this, it'll keep me in line with my goal and what I want to do. So if it's not the car, I'll grow my business, I'll get an overseas trip, and I'll earn more money. And guess what happened? Even though it didn't seem like it was going to be a done deal, and it happened. And and at the same time, we qualified, and one of my managers qualified the same time as me. And this is why it was challenging for me because we're both going, so I couldn't count her figures either. But you know what? I think the sky opens up when we open up to what we can't see clear today, but let's put a vision board and see where it can take us. I just feel the conversation with people when you got a specific goal, it just seemed to be more positive. And the person that might be you felt it wasn't going to do that, it's the person that turns around because we are as leaders, we have to show the example. So yeah, I do travel and I do go away, but they see my habit before I go, how I build up to that day. And sometimes when I'm away, we have the biggest month, because of the preparation that takes place beforehand. So because you know what they, like I said, see do, what does a monkey do, monkey see, or something like that. So and it's just not giving up, no matter I always promise myself that I would not leave, if I ever was to leave this business, it would not be when I'm on a low because someone else is making my decision. Will have to be when my diary is full of appointments because then I know it's for me, which I'm not. I'm still here after 38 years and I'll be here for years like Louise and Lucia and Diana. We yeah. So it's very important that, you have that and you think about it. You know what they say, if you think the grass is greener elsewhere, water your own, right? So think about if the journey if the lifestyle, because it's all about lifestyle. So look at Nutrimatic as your journey, your vehicle to give you what you want. It's not just selling a Nutrimatic, a Nutrimoist or a date, but it's think about if I had not done Nutrimatic, I would have been selling. And you know what? I was talking to my daughter-in-law yesterday. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry about that. Uh, Sorry about that. I thought I switched it off. Let me make sure it's
Oh,
soft
you're
now.
fine, Mimi. You didn't
I,
do anything.
okay, I'm just gonna power off. I was talking. It's how in conversation things come up, and we're talking because my son has gone to US for the World Cup, right? And I had gone down to help with the kids, and we're talking, and I said, "Oh, tomorrow night I got to talk about my story." And he goes, "Oh, your story would be very interesting." I said, "Oh, yeah." And she goes, "Oh, what is?" And it's interesting because you asked me what is my highlight, and I in conversation I would, oh, we're talking about the menu, like pillow menu when you go to a hotel. There's a pillow menu, and we had a tea menu, and anyway this trip that we went to, it was Bintan Island, but we had pre-option in Singapore. I don't know if you remember,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
few of us come off the plane, and this guy comes up to me and said, "Mrs. Carbone," and I said, "Yeah." I thought, "What have I done?" And he goes, "Please come with me. I'll chauffeur you to the hotel." I said, "Oh, no, no. I got to go and get my luggage, and I got to go through custom. It's all been done for you." And I thought, "Oh my God." I was blown away. I think, is that why we don't see any celebrities going through customs? This is anyway, he took me into this car outside, and there was a couple of other girls that got that. And it was an English, I think it was a Dampia, really big car. Anyway, on my own, the other girls went with their own car, and we went to this hotel. And I think it was a six-star hotel. You know what? I can't even, I was trying to remember the name, but I don't know if it was the Sun Regis or one of those big, really. It was only a very new one. But my room was massive. I had a king-size bed. The TV was so huge. The bathroom was marble. And the next day I saw this black tile. And I thought, what's that black tile? And that black tile was a TV in the bathroom, you know? And I had my own butler. And then I went down to breakfast, and we went down to breakfast, and there were so many pastries. It was just incredible. The food was like amazing. And then this chef comes out with a tray with more pastries. And he goes, "Mrs. Carboni, they just come out of the oven." And I thought, as if there's not enough pastries over there. So I had of course, I took one, and we had three. I think I got given three vouchers for the spa. Oh my God. And I'll never forget that spa was just, oh my God. It's so, and I said to her, "Oh, one day," I think I shouldn't have said that. I said, "Because one day when you and Adam go to Singapore, maybe I'll spoil you in that hotel." But I think if I check, it's probably about $5,000 a night or something. I put my foot in and that. And guess what she does? She goes to work and she Googles and see where this hotel is. She's probably going to hold me to it now.
You probably will.
But can you see what I'm saying?
That must have been a special promo that they had
It was
on
a
that
special.
year.
Well, you know
Bit
what it
like,
was? Rocky didn't come that year.
oh, so you got an extra
He was
one
in
because,
Europe, so I got us a special deal. So
oh, right,
I said,
right.
well, you better stay home every no. So I think,
Uh,
look, I'm not sure if I covered, yeah, getting ready for
one
Chris.
extra thing that I wanted you to cover is, for instance, what have you got on this month that
Okay, that's
will
great. Yeah.
will like your master classes? I didn't know you were doing makeup master classes
Oh,
as
we're
well.
just doing it all together as a state at the moment. But when
Got it.
I do it, Louise, I actually do it at my home, and I
I
have
thought so.
two or, 3 or 4 people at home, or 2 or 3
And
people.
so, how many of those have you got on for
I
June,
think I've
including
got 10 now for June.
10 makeup master classes?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're mini ones, but they're here. Yeah, yeah.
But four people is great.
Yeah, 3 or 4 people. Yeah, yeah. So anyway,
10 master classes.
well,
And
I'm
where are
going
you?
away soon. I have to work harder.
Well, I totally agree.
Well, you got to
I
plan ahead. That's what you do. You plan ahead.
Yes,
So
yes.
we got
So you
that
got
big
10
major
makeup master
thing.
classes. I think you're doing an event this month as
Yes, we're
well.
doing an event. What we're going to do going forward, we are joining force with some of the other managers, and we're going to be doing once a month. There will be
An
like a
event.
train. We're
Yes,
trying to go back, and I think we need some time to develop people as well
you
and
do.
really help them with their phone calls. I think it's face to face is probably going to
Yes.
look. We're going to give it a six, like I said to everyone else, we're going to give it 6 months.
Yeah.
And we've
Good.
got our training rooms organized and everything.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this in the next 6 months and then reassess and see where life takes us. But I
Very
think
good.
having a commitment, because I said to the manager, don't tell me you haven't got anyone and you're not coming that night because you're coming whether you like it or not. If not, you're gonna do phone calls there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
commitment that we're all taking, and I think that because you can, when you're home, you can sort of on your own, you might think, oh, I've done a few phone calls. They're
Yeah.
probably not on home now. All the excuses come in. So don't
Oh,
think,
the washing needs folding, the
yeah,
floors need vacuuming, but if you're not there, you can't see it, so it's
you
fine.
can't see it. So we used to do those 3 hours at a training, and
We did.
maybe we're just taking it out of the home as far as the
Mm.
training. And
Okay, only once a month.
yeah, at this stage, we're
Yeah,
doing it once a
great.
month,
Love it.
and then we'll assess
And
it.
so is that a training event? It's not
No,
a,
no,
an,
this one here that we're doing is going to be just makeup, master class. Yeah, and
okay.
then next the week in July,
Yep.
we're starting our training, got back to what and I
Yep.
think the energy in the room would be like recognition. What made me, like I said to you, all the things that I just shared with you,
Yes.
what inspired me when I came to New Traumatic, and it wasn't that obvious. The car didn't face me. I had a nice
Yep.
car. Sure, the
Yep.
trip did, but the monthly recognition. I
Yes.
mean, I never got recognized even though I was doing my target. They paid me and that
Yeah.
was it. I think
Yeah.
the recognition is what builds it builds confidence, and
It
I think
does.
other people to see. Excuse me, other people to see other people being
Yes.
recognized because it
Mm.
might be that month, some of my people might not be up there,
Mm.
but then someone else, my manager or maybe Lena or someone else could be up there. I think like united, I think will be a really good thing until we get bigger numbers
I agree.
and we can do a lot one to one anyway. So
Yeah.
it's like this lady did in the museum. Don't keep on doing the same thing if you can't see the growth because
Right.
you get bored. You get bored
Yeah.
and you go backwards. Well, you don't see it today, you see it in 3 months' time. So follow
Yeah.
up, and you got that night doing that, and it really
Yep.
keeps you on your toes because you got to, especially as a leader, you got to
Mm.
be the role model. So you
So part of your habit for your business, do you start at 9 o'clock in the morning? Do you have special days where you go,
well,
I'm putting in my
my
6 hours
day, yes,
today,
I
or what
do.
is it?
Yeah, like Monday, I do my Pilates class Monday morning,
Yep.
and then Monday afternoon. That is more mainly like follow up, you like recognition of someone that done the thank you gift, or maybe
Okay.
doing a video promote the thank you gift, or the bonus gift, doing a little bit of session perhaps on a product. But when I do a better product.
So you go live on your page.
Yes, but when I
Yep.
do that, I always incorporate, a little bit about the money you earn.
Yep.
Like, I take a lot what you do, dear Louise. What they say, and there was a song, "Take the words out of my mouth until you find your own."
Yep.
But that's a good thing is we can share. Lucia does things, and pick up
Yep.
from her
We
things
do.
like we share. So
Mm.
yeah, that's what we and
So
you
that's Mondays. Yep.
so Monday, then
And
Tuesday
then
it's
Tuesday,
babysitting, and
babysitting.
then
How
Wednesday.
old's the baby, the grandchildren?
Oh, he's easy to handle now. He's 3 years. He's 3 years.
3 years.
So I take him to play group. But then at the same time, when I'm with him, because there's people everywhere, I was actually at the playground only
Yep.
last week, and we start talking. This lady was from not Croatia. Where was Nicola from? Somewhere,
Yeah,
anyway.
Serbia.
Serbia. And I said, oh, because obviously you want to get into the conversation. Oh, I
Yep.
said, oh, you're from Serbia. He goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, oh, you wouldn't believe. I said, one of our the best
General
CEO
managers. Yeah.
we had. It was from Serbia, really. And we started a conversation. Oh, well,
Yep.
what company was that with? And I said, oh, Nutrimatic. Oh, my sister used to. And then we start talking about the cleaning product. The next thing, she gives me her number.
Yep.
I sent her the video that I did on my cleaning product. Then she goes,
Yep.
"Oh, that was great. I really would like to try some." So can you see it's not just when
Yeah.
I'm working. When
Yep.
I'm out, it's still, I'm still looking at a face. I'm still looking at someone. You know what I
Yes, you
mean?
are.
And
Yes.
and the thing is, building a rapport,
Yeah.
even with just someone that I met. Because the other thing, too, I give a lot of. That's the other thing I forgot to talk about. Like the biggest morning tea.
Yep.
The biggest morning tea.
You
What we
did that
did,
last month?
yeah, I didn't do it personally, but one of my friends did. So what we did, the $10 facials that can take
Yes.
yeah. Well, what I did, I laminated them and gave some to another club, right? But on this occasion, because we were going to be there with Maria Mastrullo, the other manager, what we
Yep.
did, we put him in a box. And it's such a pretty box, and we put the voucher in there. And in the box, from Temu, those little boxes you can get from anyone. And it
Yep.
said, "Thank you." And we put some samples in there, and we're selling those for $10. And we actually
Ah,
raised about $400, but we had about 40, and everyone there bought, and some bought extra because they want to give it to their friends as well. So I think
wonderful.
any events, like it's the longest table, I
Yeah.
think, is coming up. And I believe it or not, my husband is how Rocky likes to cook.
Yep.
He's doing a cooking class.
Right.
Lucia, it's a shame you're not here. You could have come to it. So it's good doing a cooking class, and these ladies are coming to there. So I'm raising money that way as well. I'm going to sell them this little box with with a $10 facial card.
Yep.
And so yeah, I think just look for
That's a
any
great
event
idea.
happening. And
Yes.
I think events and things like that, we've got to be a little bit more into it now than ever before,
I think so too.
you
Yes.
know. And I
Yes.
think even with
Give people a reason to come and be with you, whether it's the event is a makeup masterclass. I know Caroline is on, Caroline and Hilary Finch, they did an event, and they probably invited 15, 20 people. Well, they each had 6 people there come.
oh wow,
And Hilary did a facial. She particularly talked about the platinum products, and then she did a very mini makeup. And they had a small fee, and they donated that money to breast cancer.
that's great.
Caroline's been through the breast cancer, and they're going to do one every month now because the ladies that came were different from the ladies that came 2 months before and 2 months before that. And she'd met new people. And they both had sales that came in eventually about $1,200 each. They had new people join. And the ladies said, when is the next one? We want to come again. We had so much fun and we learned
Oh,
so
that's
much
great.
about our skin and our makeup. So
Yeah.
I do
And it's
think
good for yeah, and it's good for the charity because my friend, I think
very good.
she raised about $3,000, which it was great. And it wasn't really an effort for her because she got everyone paying $20 and bought a plate. So really, and we had all the
Okay,
kids there.
sensational. I
Yeah.
love when people bring a plate, then you don't have to do the food. I
Yeah.
loved everything you shared with us, Mimi. So many skills and strategies you have learnt over the years.
Oh,
And one of the things that I took away from you is what a good student you are, because you are always willing to learn and you're coachable. And just love that. Absolutely love it.
thank you,
Um,
Louise.
and thank you so much for being our special speaker tonight. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for everyone that joined us. And
Well, I just
please
leave you
join
with
us next month.
yeah, I just want to leave you that, look at like who you want to be and just see their habits. Just follow the journey because
Mm.
really at the end of the day, it has been done before, hasn't it, Louise? You
It
got
has.
inspired by Terry Jones. I got
I did.
inspired by Diana in my early
Yep.
days and that. So,
Yep.
we all sort of and I remember the just briefly when I used to get that tempo and I used to hear about the stories. And
Yes.
even I used to love the negative stories because I used to think, well, if they had that issue and they become an ESD, whatever, then I can
Yep.
still do it. So
That's right.
sometimes we need to hear that too,
We
you know.
do. We need to hear that people have
Yeah.
overcome obstacles or that
Yes.
they they just kept on going. And that's
Kept on
exactly
going.
what you've done, Mimi. And I think that your skin is a testament to the amazing products that we have in our
But we all
company.
do, don't you think?
So
Everyone
is
is,
Lucia, so is Di, who's
I
on.
know.
Everyone just looks so good when we all
You
get together.
you
We
can
truly
tell the
do.
the person that's using Nutrimetics
You can.
for
You
sure,
certainly
for
can.
sure,
So
for sure.
thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Mimi.
you. Thank you for that.
Please join us next month. And I am sometimes flexible with the date because there is always so much on. So I will put it on Creating a Bright Future and I ask all the managers to share it with their teams. Thank you,
Thank you, Louise.
everyone.
Thank you for asking.
Have a
Bye.
great night and let's look at those specials that they've brought out and
Yeah.
how your June is up to you.
Yeah.
You decide, everyone. Thank
That's
you.
it. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Pleasure.